Chasing Purpose is a journey of self-love, self-development, healing, and spirituality. Welcome to Chasing Purpose, heard right here on the Bridge 99 FM and in the New York Tri-State area on Irie Jam Radio. And I'm now in the air chair, ready to take you on the journey of purpose. Let me just give you some information that you will need to be a part of our conversation. 551-5782, 876-551-5782, 551-5782. Our studio line 676-4996, 676-4996. How's everybody feeling today? How is everyone feeling today? I'm feeling pretty amazing. I hope you are as well. Yes, Cavell, big up yourself. Happy belated birthday. And to all my September babies, happy belated birthday. Miss Bali, you know we love your happy belated. Richie B, happy belated birthday. All right, we're going to jump right into our Mindset Minute. Again, guys, be a part of the conversation. I've given you the numbers. Be a part of the conversation also by watching what we do. We are audio-visual radio. You can download the Bridge 99 FM or FM app. Slow down, Cynthia. The Bridge 99 FM app in the Google Play Store, Android, the Apple Store, Be a part of the show and a part of all of our shows here on the Bridge. So we're going to jump right into our Mindset Minute segment. This is where we just kind of get to talking about where we are right now, jarring our mind, thought-provoking conversation. I throw to you and we talk. And remember, this is a conversation, so I want you guys to be involved. 551-5782. You are needed here. You are needed here. I am needed here. We are all needed here. Life can take us down some really dark places, down rabbit holes. Thoughts invade our mind that just take us places that we really shouldn't be going. Let me take this opportunity to remind you that you matter. You're needed here, today, right now, right this minute, wherever you are standing, wherever your feet are firmly placed, you are needed. You're not a burden. You have gifts. You have a purpose here. You have so much to offer yourself, your community, your society, the world. You have God-given purpose. That breath that is you're feeling, that's breathing, you're breathing in, you're breathing out, that's coursing through your lungs, the blood that's coursing through your veins, the thoughts that you're having. Let those things flow through you. You're needed here. So my question to you is, how are you holding on to your why? Knowing that you are needed here, how are you holding on to your why? That lifeblood that is our purpose. That why. That is the lifeblood, that why. How are you holding on to that why? What is that why? Do you know what that why is? I was just talking to Audley about his why, and his why being music. His why being entertaining. His why making people happy through music. What is that lifeblood? What is your why? And how are you reminding yourself that you need to continue on this journey? It can get dark sometimes. It's not always a pleasant journey. But how do you remind yourself that you are needed here? That your purpose is absolutely paramount to why you are on this journey? How do you do that? Give me a call. Let me know. 551-5782. 551-5782. Remember, we are guided by our 4 pillars here at Chasing Purpose, which is nurturing faith, setting intentions, pursuing aspirations, all while living boldly. This is your inspirational hour. This is the time of the day where we're inspiring you, where we're getting you motivated, we're getting you pumped. You are needed here. That's it. That's the message. I am a legend. You are a legend. Imagine if we all adopt that mindset that we are legends. We need to carry ourselves as such. We need to speak as such. We need to show up as such. We are legends in our own right. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break. We have so much in store for you today. Remember, today is Wednesday, so that means things like giveaway. It is Sin Things Wednesdays. We have an awesome artist coming in. We have a really deep conversation. It is Suicide Awareness Month, and we will be talking about that again. The question is, how are you holding on to your why? And do you understand that you are needed here?
Don't wanna leave, don't wanna go. We stay tuned to Bridge 99 Jamaica. Don't wanna leave, we stay tuned. Bridge 99 Jamaica. Fresh and clean, yeah. Like Jazzy I go.
Fresh from bird from a step on earth. Louis V shoes straight from Antwerp. Well dressed suit, well pressed, bad shirt. Well good, 3 cologne in a concert. I studied and work, enough money man worth. Talk to me after you talk to me bank clerk. From basic school, Sunday in a church. Charges days and I be the one converse. Still
fresh and clean, fresh and clean.
And we're back. And yes, we're fresh and we're clean. And today I'm excited to feature, I'm not sure if the guys remember to download the app so you can see and not just hear, but see the Bridge 99 FM in the mobile app store, Play Store, Google, Apple Store, all the stores where you want to find on your phone. You can see my piece that let me take this off. Sorry. This piece, if you can see, I'm wearing by this artist that is sitting beside me right now. Straighten it, she says, so the camera can see. Can you see? Can you see? Can you see? Welcome to Chasing Purpose Moon. Moon is an artist, a performer also. She does jewelry, she does t-shirts, and we are going to be talking about these pieces. She's going to stay with us for our next conversation as well. So please stick and stay. Here's the number, 551-5782, 551-5782. You're going to want to be a part of this conversation. Studio line 676-4996. Moon, welcome to Chasing Purpose. How are you?
Give thanks. Greetings, everybody. I am well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I am well. Talk to us about the intention behind Earth and Moon.
So it's funny you use that word because the, I guess, tagline on my cards is "Wear your intentions," and the company began with me not finding jewelry that I felt represented me accurately, and wanting to know the meaning behind things. I tend to always go a little below the surface. And so with the creation of my own pieces, I wanted to encourage people to put more intention even in their day-to-day life, to not just pick something because it looks good, but also because it feels good, because it harnesses the energy they want to carry with them throughout that day. So, if you're going to an interview, you might want something that offers confidence and an open throat chakra so you speak clearly and all of those things.
Wow. I don't think we think about that. Well, some of us do not think about that when we're getting dressed, that the jewelry that what we put on harnesses energies and the energies that we want to put forth.
I started thinking about even people with their wedding bands. So even people who don't necessarily wear a lot of jewelry, most married people have some form of diamond or some, and diamonds are very powerful stones and they need to be cleansed and they need to be treated carefully. So the jewelry, especially that you wear every day, absorbs not only your energy, but the energies that you're interacting with. And,
everything is energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything is energy. Talk to me about we met last week. Moon and I met last week, and I got a few pieces, and something that happened that she did that I've never seen done before. She says, "Please, I want to cleanse your jewelry."
Can I demonstrate?
You please demonstrate. Okay. Demonstrate what it means. I'm telling you guys, download that app, okay? Download that. But yeah, tell us about the cleansing of your jewelry. Why is it so important to you that you give someone a cleansed piece of jewelry?
So I always make sure that I am in the best state possible when I'm creating jewelry. But still, every piece is going to take on some things, and then other people might try it on before you buy it. So cleansing it's an energy cleanse. It is a removal of any previous or negative energies so that you kind of get a fresh start with it. The intention is still in there. I do energy work as well, so that is in there. But rosemary specifically, which is what I have in my hand here, only removes the negative energy.
Okay.
So anything unwanted. And then it allows that person to not just take the specific properties of the stone, but their intentions and what they want this piece to do for them. And I encourage people to program their pieces, so to speak.
Talk to us about that. What does that mean, programming your pieces?
So I tend to give some herbs when I sell a piece as well. And I do sell the smudge ones. But if you have your own things that you cleanse with, anybody can cleanse it in their own manner. You know, there's a lot of herbs that are locally grown that do this. And then once you've cleansed it, you
Rosemary being one of them.
Rosemary is one of them. Thyme is another.
Okay.
But they do have different properties. So if you're going to get into that, then I encourage more research. But if you take a piece, you can, bless it in a way. You can take it and put oils over it. You can just hold it in your hand and, kind of pray or pour an intention over that piece. And if you want this piece to offer protection or confidence, then you can put that into it. You ever hear about family heirlooms being passed on and say, grandma wore this for protection and, this one? It's not just a myth. Like, there is science behind that. And a lot of our ancestors knew this, that they had the power to put that into jewelry. And it's something we've kind of lost touch with. So clothing carries the energy of people. You wear something from somebody deceased, and it carries that. You borrow something from a friend, and if you and that friend don't agree anymore, you can feel that. Sometimes things just start to not feel like yours, right? We're not crazy. These are real things.
Yes. While we're talking, we are so out of touch with what our ancestors started for us. How these pieces, the values, the teachings, the wisdom that they would have passed down. I feel like we're so far removed. We want to get back to it. So let's talk about the jewelry. If you're looking at the app, if you're doing this terrestrially, please look back at our content. All our content is on our YouTube page. Talk to us about some of your pieces here. What's your favorite piece, I should say? Because you have quite a few things here.
So it's hard to choose a favorite. I can talk about my favorites to make, maybe. I genuinely love making rings. I think I have a thing with hands. My hands are decorated with, rings and tattoos because I'm also a tattoo artist. But there's something sacred to me about hands and the energy that we carry with them because we use them for so much. And what a lot of people don't know is we have a giving and receiving hand. Energy tends to circulate. So, Sanskrit yoga practices will talk about the 7 main chakras, but we have chakras in our hands as well. They're energy centers. That's all. That's really all it means. So when you decorate them, there is power in that. If you want to release certain energy, you can put that on your giving hand. If you want to harness certain energy, you put it on your receiving hand. And then I love the beauty and the way you can carry it either delicately or make a big statement piece. So some of my most popular ones are the anchorings. I don't know if you can see it there.
Yes, if you can see it there.
Yes.
Let's see what camera are we at? See it there?
And these ones that I call the third eye rings. And this is just for your third eye chakra is here, which is your awareness, your intuition, right? So that's where the name behind that came from. But I also have larger pieces, statement pieces that, I don't know how to angle this. Like, this is raw citrine, and I do make some bigger pieces. And people always ask, do you make jewelry for men? I make jewelry for everybody. All sizes. I currently have from size 4 to 14, and I do custom work. So
and just really quickly, also these earrings, which I love the story behind them. You only make one.
Yeah, I don't like matching things.
No, but I love the idea. If you're looking at the app, you'll see that I'm wearing one. Can you just tell us what this one is?
So this is selenite, and selenite is a purification crystal. It actually harmonizes all chakras. It's very peaceful. I find it quite soothing and calming to wear. So if I have a high energy day or if I'm feeling a little anxious, selenite is what I will carry with me. Okay. Now, don't get it wet. Selenite is water soluble. I know people who have not taken my advice and gone to cleanse their selenite in the ocean. Oh no. And it disappears. So,
okay, so a word to the wise in the shade. Let's not get this wet.
Don't soak it. You can wipe it lightly. Yeah. You can clean it. Like, when I get them, if there's any dust on it, I'll take a damp cloth and I'll wipe it, but don't soak your selenite. That's not wise.
All right. You're big on healing. How do your pieces tie into that?
it comes from me first. A lot of this work started with me, experimenting with myself, looking at the areas of my life that needed healing, and figuring out how to create a world that that invited that, and then deciding, once I found something that worked, sharing it with others. So I have found imbalances in different chakras at various points in my journey, and worn crystals that assisted me with that. And I think the best knowledge comes from our own experience. So I can share with people my personal experience. I'll also tell them, I have not spent as much time with this crystal, but if you're drawn to it, feel free to experiment. I can tell you what I've read about it, but I can tell you the most about the stones I've worked with personally.
Okay. All right. So, remember, Sintings, this segment is where we not only feature the artist or designer, we also gift our listeners, Bridge Nation, Ari Jam fam, with a piece. Moon is lovely enough, kind enough to gift us with something. I think, what are you giving away today?
So I wanted to give
gifting.
away, I wanted to gift a ring.
Okay.
Now I know that we all have different sizes, so I'm going to give whoever wins this ring a choice between the Third Eye or Ankh design, and you can send me your size and I will make you a piece.
Okay. All right. So Dom, you're going to throw me a question at some point. I'm going to throw the question to you, Bridge Nation. Moon is going to stay with us. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to jump into, see, I'm not paying attention. Not only does she do jewelry, she also does T-shirts. So if you're looking on the app, you're seeing some of her T-shirt. This is an Ankh design here, which is similar to the ring that I have.
And these are all hand painted.
And all hand painted and beautifully done. And the shirt that she has, I also have it, is the Sila T.
Yeah.
It is everything is beautifully done, and you can feel the intention that you pour into it. And do you is this your purpose? Is this your passion?
It's one of the manifestations of it. I tend to, in bios and such, classify myself as a multidisciplinary artist because music is my first love.
Okay.
So I sing and I play multiple instruments. And I'm currently wrapping up my first album.
Awesome. When does it come out?
I don't want to give a date yet because we're almost finished, but it's almost finished.
Well, we're looking out for it
before the end of this year. It's supposed to be out. But yeah, all of it is a part of my medicine. It's just different aspects of it.
Okay. Welcome back to Chasing Purpose. Thank you for joining us right here on the Bridge 99 FM and on the Bridge 99 FM app. You would have just heard our interview with Sintings, which we just wrapped up with Moon, with her Earth and Moon jewelry. We're going to jump right into our Reach Out and Touch segment right now. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, each year we lose an estimated 703,000 people globally to suicide. For every suicide, there are likely 20 other people making a suicide attempt, and many more having serious thoughts of suicide. Millions of people suffer intense grief or are otherwise profoundly impacted by suicidal behaviors. This is no longer just personal, but a public concern. By raising awareness and reducing the stigma around suicide through engaging in informative conversations, we can all play our part to reducing the instances of suicide around the world. Today, we have a guest who's experienced suicidal ideations and is now an advocate for suicide prevention. Carla Moore is an artist, an activist, academic, and alchemist with a 2-decade body of work in community and personal transformation. She advocates for meaningful inclusion, radical authenticity, and decolonized freedom through her work as a public speaker, life coach, gender specialist, and content creator. Welcome to the show, Carla. How are you?
Hi, I am very well. Thanks for having me. Hi, Moon.
Hey, Carla.
She was saying that you guys always meet in these spaces. You haven't seen each other in a long time, but you always meet in these spaces. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, I'm also actively wear Moon's jewelry and Moon's clothing.
See?
And everything.
I love that. It's all full circle. I love it.
Yeah.
Carla, what led you to advocate for mental health awareness?
My advocacy for mental health awareness came out of my own journey. I think a lot of advocates end up going into work because of that. My own personal experience, realizing that something wasn't right, not having the language to describe it, and then finally realizing there's a name for that, there's support for that, but there are a whole lot of other people who are going through it who feel alone. Like, you'd be shocked how many times you go into a room, and if you just open the conversation, you will find that like 70% of the people in the room are going through the same thing, but they feel like they're suffering silently. And me, tired of the silence. Me not feel like that I go save way. It not go like it really not go save way. No. Me tired of that. So somebody did just have to bust that open. It's me.
And it's important that we have the conversation, because so much people feel alone. Some people feel that they can't reach out when that's so far from the truth. Tell us about your experience with suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, my experience with suicidal thoughts actually started pretty early. Well, it was early for me, and it was around the time that I started high school.
Okay.
It was a lot of change happening in my life at the same time. I left the house that I was raised in. I moved into Kingston for school. My parents were going through a separation. I was in a space where I didn't know anybody. Everything was unfamiliar. And that was sitting on top of another pre-existing thing, which is being sexually assaulted as a child, which I hadn't dealt with.
Okay.
And so I think all of those things started closing in on me. And what happened is you want a way out. Like, you really just feel, I can't solve this. I don't know how to solve this. I have no clue what to do. And I don't even know how to reach out for help, and you just want a way out. And that's when suicide starts to, the thought starts to pop into your mind. If I wasn't here, this wouldn't be a problem. If I wasn't here, this would be solved. This would be so much easier. And that's really where it started for me. And then it's something that comes back from time to time, which I'd love for us to get into a little bit later, in particular for, if you have periods and you have premenstrual dysphoria, it's one of the things that can happen to you. Suicidal ideation can be something that you deal with monthly, if that's a part of what happens to your body.
Now let's talk about that now. There are triggers, and it's different for everyone. So let's talk about some of the triggers that come with this suicidal ideation.
Yeah. So one of the most common triggers for suicidal ideation is severe depression, right? It's like a mental and psychological pain that it feels like you can't resolve it. That's one of the most common triggers. Different things can lead people to feel that type of emotional pain. Then you have other mental health diagnoses that people who have these diagnoses are more likely to experience suicidal thoughts. So people who have bipolar disorder, people who have borderline personality disorder, eating disorders, schizophrenia, stuff like that. But then also if you have traumatic experiences and you have PTSD, right? So if you've experienced violence, if you've experienced any form of assault, this could be something that's a one-time occurrence, or it can be something that happens over a long period of time, including things like a history of childhood neglect. Being neglected in childhood can cause a person to experience PTSD, and it can lead to suicidal thought. Now, this one, I would love for my Jamaicans to listen to this one carefully. Prolonged stress can also be a trigger for suicidal thoughts and for suicide itself. I think that there are a lot of us who live under stressful conditions, who work under stressful conditions, and we know it. We talk about it. We talk about Bakramasa. We talk about, I get up and go to people them job. We can talk about how difficult it is, but we don't think about what happens when it reaches the further end of the spectrum and why we might need to intervene. Around the time that exam results come out in Jamaica, we do know that we often have suicides coming up. And that's because loss or fear of loss can also be a trigger for suicide. So academic failure, the idea that your parents are going to be so disappointed in you, or they're going to kick you out. A lot of times you'll find like business people, you'll see this trope of this business person, their business seems to be crashing, and all of a sudden, it feels like all of a sudden they commit suicide. You had a good life, but when they're thinking about what's coming, the shame, the disgrace, the loss in social standing, that feels like too much to bear. And so it can cause hopelessness, right? And that can lead to that can trigger suicidal thoughts. And then other things like substance abuse. If people abuse substances, that can become a trigger, and also isolation, which is why COVID-19, especially in the early
Yes,
times when,
yes.
we had to go lockdown, that was very difficult for people in terms of their mental health, because social isolation actually is a trigger for suicide. And then, as I said before, premenstrual dysphoria, which for people who don't know what premenstrual dysphoria is, think of it as PMS, but if PMS was like the Popeye level of muscular, like the PMS comes to kick you down. It's not just the play PMS. Like you're in the physical pain to the point where you can't move. You're in emotional pain to the point where you can't function. They call it PMDD. Some people will experience suicidal ideation as a result of that.
What are some of the warning signs that we can look out for in persons that are ideating?
Disruptions in sleep, disruptions in their sleep pattern. So somebody who is either not sleeping at all or somebody who is sleeping a lot, that's one of the things that they find a lot of people who go on to attempt suicide have in common. Talking about it, so suicidal talk, talking about killing themselves, talking about feeling like this just can't fix me, can't fix this. Me feel trapped in my life. Me feel like me don't know what to do. There's no way out. Talking about feeling like they're a burden to others. Me feel like me just a draw down everybody. Me feel like me I make everybody life worse. When you hear that type of thought, that could be somebody that's considering suicide. If you find that somebody a sudden increase, them start drink enough, them start smoke enough, they're these kind of avoidance behaviors. Also, they're tired all the time. They're always fatigued. There is an uncle of mine who committed suicide, and prior to committing suicide, he started giving away his possessions, which is another sign.
Wow.
When people start to give away their prized possessions, it's because they don't plan to be here.
Right.
They're not suddenly feeling kind. They might give them away because them no plan for there.
Wow.
Another thing is sometimes they will do like a goodbye tour. They'll just start visiting all of their close friends, and they're doing it because they're telling you goodbye. Another one, which can feel difficult for people to make sense of, is they suddenly become very peaceful. So somebody has been in mental turmoil for a while, and they suddenly seem at peace. It's because they found a solution in their mind, so they don't need to struggle anymore.
Wow.
Sorry, go ahead.
Moon, you're shaking your head. Are you jump in here?
I'm not going to pretend to have done the kind of research, or I don't have any certification like Carla does, but I do have experience with depression. And, listening to everything that she's saying, it even ties back into what I was sharing with you about my own healing journey, because a lot of these stresses and these external things can also manifest as physical illnesses in conjunction with the depression. So there's so much, and I'm glad to say that I am in a space where I no longer identify as a depressed person. Negative or challenging spaces still come up in my life, and I'll have periods where I'm not as up, but I no longer feel excuse me, I no longer feel trapped by that state, but I was in that state for many years, over a decade. Probably almost 2 decades to be real.
Wow.
And it's not consistent. So you can be battling with depression and have maybe even a whole good year, and you think it's done, and then something triggers it. And that will show you that you haven't actually healed this issue. You may just have been away from the triggers. And so it's ongoing. The healing is ongoing, and the kind of support that people struggling with depression require is often heavy on friends and family who either can't relate or are dealing with their own burdens. And the reality is, many of us can't afford therapy. So it's not that there aren't people in society who can help us, but it is so often inaccessible. I remember at one point even trying to access a free therapy app, and the whole something did a malfunction, and then when I did the quiz, it told me I did not appear to be as depressed as they thought. And and so I didn't qualify. And I'm here going, but I'm still dealing with this.
Yes, wow.
I said, so there are platforms in place, but they're not foolproof, and people are still going under the radar. And because of the stigma, as Carla was talking about, because of the fear of talking about it, many people are afraid, even in the privacy of their own homes, to go onto the free services and look for help. So we need to change the whole the societal way of looking at it, that mental health is just as important as physical health. We all have it on a spectrum in various...
Yes, and I believe that in some
and
way,
it goes up and down.
Yeah, agree with that. Carla, I was looking on your page recently, and you I happened upon one of your posts, and you were sharing, and it was so raw and so emotional. And you were saying that that you the ideations sometimes they still show up. How do you identify with it and then move through it, if that's the right way to ask?
Yeah, no, it's actually a very good question. For me, I know that I'm heading into a good place when I find myself just randomly going, I'm so tired. I am so tired. And that's when I know that I'm starting to go into a bad place. Because I'm so tired is a type of fatigue where you're feeling at your bones. It feels like it doesn't matter how much you sleep, you cannot shake this type of tired. And then I will realize that you can start to look out for certain things. Your room starts to get extra sloppy. People with depression, cleaning up is not a priority. It feels like it just takes too much energy for you to do it. Your diet starts to go downhill because you're just eating whatever is easiest for you to eat. Luckily for me, I live with my mom, who is an important part of my support system. So either way, she's going to make sure that I'm eating something. She's like, no, girl, the snack thing, we're not do that. We don't live on snacks. That's not for us. Nanny never died for that. So I can know that it's happening then. And then when I start to feel I need a way out and I am trapped, when I start to feel like I'm trapped inside of my life, that's when I know that things are getting bad for me again. And how I navigate through that is when I was in high school and I started thinking about suicide. Somewhere around age 14, I made a pact with myself and I said, it doesn't matter how much you think about it, you're not going to do it. I made a promise to myself because I said to myself, if you do this, there is nothing beyond it. Like the last thing you will know about life is this moment that doesn't feel good. And I think that there's more for you. So just wool it as much as possible. I've done therapy like Moon. I work with crystals. One of the things that has been very healing for me is a clear quartz crystal that I wore for years. I also use black tourmaline to try to balance out negative energy, all types of stuff. Just like Moon, I also sell crystals. And I think that's a part of the journey. When you find something that works, you end up trying to share it with other people too, because we know that people really need the support. Like once you find something that works for you, you're like, hi. Hi.
Let me get it out to the world.
Somebody know. Come, let me tell you something, right? So how do I navigate through it? One, I remind myself that it's not my first time coming here. And there's something that comes after this. And so deal with that. If it feels like I need to reach out for support, as in I need to talk to somebody, then I do that. Sometimes when it comes on to mental health issues, we need to act sooner rather than later. We're in the habit of waiting until it gets as bad as possible. Oh, it's not bad enough. I don't need to spend that money. I don't need to inconvenience anybody. No, do it now, do it soon. I have my ongoing practices like my journaling and my meditation and developing my spiritual life and trying to change how my brain works. Trying to shift my perspective on situations that I find challenging, trying to interrupt some of the negative thoughts, like the thoughts that will tell you you're a problem and this is not going to work out and you're not good enough and you don't deserve this. Like meet them, question them. Why? Who told you that was true? Where is the proof of that? And then move to something else. And then when I'm feeling a little bit stronger, I look and I find what is the root of the problem. And I try to fix it so it doesn't push me back to that place. And I think sometimes we miss that step that important step, which is when you're not in the valley, when you're a little bit further up on the mountain, look back and go, what was the thing that sent me there?
Wow. Yes.
And how can I ensure? One thing that's been beating me bad recently is chronic pain, which can actually be a trigger for suicide.
Oh, really?
Because living inside, yes. And so if we're thinking about people with like arthritis, people with PCOS, they found that people with things like diabetes, asthma, hypertension, migraines, cancer, they're more at risk for suicide. Because if you're living inside of your body and your body just hurts, after a while it wears you down and you're just, sometimes they don't go as far as committing suicide, but the ideation will come up because you're tired.
And that
you're
changes your whole energy.
It drains your energy.
Moon, you touched on this a bit, but Carla, I want you to expound on it. Is getting help accessible here in Jamaica?
Oh, what a big and complicated question. I'll answer it this way. Help is available in Jamaica. Help available for free help is available for free, but it is inconsistent. So for instance, if you're trying to access help through the public health system, it's very unlikely that you'll be able to get like a weekly appointment. You will get an appointment. There will probably be a very long wait time. And then between that appointment and the next appointment will be a very long wait time. So there is paid help that's available. And there are excellent therapists and psychotherapists and psychiatrists and whatever available. But if you don't have the budget, then it will be very difficult for you to access. The Ministry of Health and Wellness does have a free helpline, which is 1-888-888-NEW-LIFE. NEWLIFE. They do have counselors available there.
Can you say the number again?
888 New Life, NEWLIFE. So they do have support that's available there. For young people, there is something called Safe Spot. Now, Safe Spot is usually a place for people to report if they're aware of child abuse happening. But Safe Spot also does provide counseling to young people. Give me 1 minute and I'll give out the number because I think it's important that they have
please.
it. So for Safe Spot, it's actually 888 Safe Spot. So 888-723-7768. Right? So that's a toll-free line. Or you can send a WhatsApp to 439-5199. So that's going to be youth-focused counseling services. If you're over 16, then you're going to have something that You Report does, and it is the You Matter helpline. So if you go to You Report, you can actually reach out to them on Instagram, on social media, and that helpline, they have counselors who are ready.
You Report is YOU?
It's
report?
Just the letter U.
The letter U?
The letter U and report. Another thing, because we know that like experiences of trauma and belonging to a marginalized group increases the likelihood that you will be suicidal. Sometimes you'll find like LGBT people will struggle to find counseling that's inclusive or to, find somebody that they think they can talk to safely. And so there is a helpline that's available there. And the contact number there is 399-HELP. So that's 399-4357. And that is through Equality Youth Jamaica.
Carla, how can we help someone who is suicidal?
Great question. I think the most important thing is to know the signs of suicide, like to look out for it. My friends are under constant watch and they know that because I have lost friends in the past and I don't intend to lose anymore.
To suicide?
Yeah, I've lost friends to suicide and if I can help it, I don't intend to lose anybody else. Reach out and check in, are you okay? And be direct. Ask if they're thinking of taking their own life. Sometimes we feel like, you need to go gently around the topic and don't know. Ask directly. Are you considering taking your own life? Are you feeling suicidal? Are you thinking about ending things? Ask those special, those specific questions. Recognize that because a person is thinking about suicide, it's not always a crisis. Sometimes once a person mentions suicide, we get panicked and we get flustered. And once we're in that state, we can't really be of much help for them, right? So like trying to remain calm. As Moon says, like it's a two-way street. It affects the people who are trying to support you very much as well. Is it a crisis? Are you thinking of doing this like in the next 1 to 2 days? Or is it that have you thought of the method you would use? Have you acquired the things that you would use? And if they haven't, then okay, it might not be a crisis. You might have some time. If it's a crisis and they're like, yes, I'm thinking of doing it now, then okay, then you probably need to stay with them. Virtually, it might be difficult, right? But stay with them or try to get somebody to them to be there with them. Often, if people can clear that 1 to 2 days, they'll surf the wave and they'll come back down. And you'll be able to deal with it and try to find another solution. Then try to get them to get counseling. But I think in terms of how we interact with people, to be non-judgmental as much as possible. Let them know that there is hope and that you're here with them and that you're doing your best to empathize, even if you can't understand everything that they're going through. I can imagine how painful this must be for you. Don't trivialize it, and please do not tell the people that they might do it for attention, right? Sometimes that comes up. Oh, you just do it because it's a call for attention. Sometimes a suicide attempt is a call for attention, but the call for attention is actually the person saying, please
help
pay
me.
attention.
Yes.
Me not terrible pain.
If somebody feels the need to have a call for attention, there's something behind that too. That's the thing.
There's something behind that. So to be non-judgmental and to be empathetic, and then to help the person make a safety plan. So the safety plan is, what are you going to do the next time this feeling hits? Is there any support? Are there any support systems that we need to put in place? Any people that you know you need to reach out to? Any resources that you need to go back to? Do you have your therapist on dial or somebody you can talk to? If there are certain things that like there are certain things that you would plan to use. You'd plan to maybe use particular pills, or you have access to a weapon or something like that. How can we limit your access
to those
that?
things?
So right? And then once the crisis passed, as I said, it's about going into your life and figuring out what are the things that put me into this place, so that they don't push me back into this place in the same way. Like, we think of feeling suicidal as a one-time thing. And for many people, it is. It's something that happens once in your lifetime and you never go back. But for other people, it's not. It's something that you cycle through again and again. And in between those times, you need to fix up what you can fix up to make sure that either it don't come back or it take longer to come back, or when it comes back, you have a plan of action for where you're going to go. Saying to my mom, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And that's how I'm feeling right now, was one of the hardest things I had to do as an adult woman when the feeling came back as an adult. Because I knew she would struggle with it. Because what you think of when you think of a depressed person, I'm not showing up in that way, right? I'm very bubbly and I'm achieving things, and I have my jobs and I have my content that I'm creating and it looks great. And so you look at me and you don't think that. And so like there's a way that I knew I had to shatter a little bubble for her by saying this to her. And confessing it to her was very difficult, but it was one of the most important things that I have done, because if she knows, then I'm not alone inside of it anymore.
Yes.
Not alone in it anymore.
Yeah, that not alone is so important. That not alone.
It's very important.
Yeah, it's so important. Just really quickly, Moon was sharing that and COVID saw with the lockdown suicide spike globally. Moon was sharing the isolation kind of sent her to a place.
So after being in a majority okay place for an extended period and feeling healed, so to speak, I experienced this separation. And I mean, I'm naturally an introvert, so I'm not incredibly social all the time, but my friends tend to be slightly introverted also, and then we were all separated. I live fairly far from a lot of the people who are closest to me emotionally. And when taxis weren't running and all of these things weren't happening, you know, weeks would go by where I wasn't seeing anybody. And especially when we didn't really know how serious to take everything and what the actual risks were. There were long periods of separation, and my children had been overseas. They were visiting family, and then the borders closed.
Oh, wow.
So I was
you
now
didn't
away
have
from
them.
my children for 2 whole years.
Wow.
And there were so many things that were just wrapped up. And I can say that my cat and art saved my life. And that is not something I say lightly.
Wow.
Because for a long time, my cat was my only company, you know, and so people underestimate the power of support animals for anxiety and different things. Neurodivergence can also be a trigger, especially if you don't understand what it is that is creating certain challenges
Break
in your
down
life.
neurodivergence for persons who may not know.
So there's different kinds of it. Like ADHD is a type of neurodivergence. Autism is a type of neurodivergence, and autism is a spectrum. So you can appear
Yes, high
normal.
functioning.
You-
Yeah.
And even the term high functioning is disrespectful in certain ways, right? Because you can appear neurotypical
Okay.
and still have neurodivergent traits happening on the inside because people can't see your brain.
Right.
But what I found saved me, and what I will encourage people, especially those who don't have access to therapy or always have access to people, is to find a healthy outlet. For me, it was art. For me, that was when I began painting. I needed something to ground my body in physically. I needed somewhere to release the big feelings that were overwhelming, that didn't have any words. So even journaling became useless at one point. It wasn't solving it for me. And so I think if we, once, you know, as Carla said, once you get through the big part, then you can kind of step back and say, okay, what can I do to help myself when I don't have help from other people? Because we do have that power, you know, and crystals was just one way, but crystals don't do everything. You know, there's so many different aspects, and we have to figure out what works for us. Some people use exercise, some people, you know, stepping outside, putting your feet in the earth, grounding,
Yeah, grounding,
you
yeah.
know, just find a way to get the energy outside of yourself so you're not turning that pain inwards.
Carla, someone listening right now is thinking of committing suicide. How would you reach out to them? What would you say to them?
If there's somebody listening right now who's thinking about committing suicide, what I would say to them is, I know it may not feel like it right now, but whatever is the thing you're trying to get away from, there are other ways to solve it. I can't say to you, I'm standing on the other side of this, because as I said, sometimes I go back. But I can tell you from experience. I can tell you from somebody who has experienced multiple traumas. I can tell you from somebody who lives with pain that it does get better. It does get better. And it is worth it to stick around. You may not be able to see it right now. You may not remember that right now. But there were good things that probably happened to you. And if you stick around, there probably are good things that will happen for you. There is support here for you, even if you can't see it right now. And we do need you. You may not feel that way. You may not feel worthy. You may not feel important. You may not feel as though anybody would care if you left. But people would care if you left, and you are loved, and we do need you. I need you here. Whatever is the thing that you bring to this world, we need it, and the world would be worse off if you were not here.
Yes.
So if you can just hold on for a little bit longer and get some support, there is something on the other side of this for you, and you do have the energy and the capacity to get there.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Carla. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for identifying and knowing that you are needed here. Thank you, Moon. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for identifying that you are needed here. And my Bridge Nation, my Ari Jam family, we're all needed here. We all have a gift. We all have something that we're working through, but just know you are needed here. Today we had some really thought-provoking discussions around suicide prevention awareness. I don't want this conversation to end here. Spread the message far out as you can. Check on your strong friends, and importantly, check in with someone before you get to a point where you feel there is no hope. I want to close with this beautiful song in honor of this amazing artist who we lost some years back. Though he's no longer with us, his message remains relevant. Dulles, we honor you.
What tomorrow may bring, nobody don't know, nobody don't know. Me just a go and do me thing, me just a go and do me thing. Me a do me thing. What tomorrow may bring, nobody don't know, nobody don't know. So me a go and do me thing, me just a go and do me thing. Me sure about today, tomorrow me no stress over. Just a work with me have and just step over. Yeah, me now go try to put me cap on me and can't reach now. Right now me not the most popular, so me work today to make tomorrow get better. Some of these to them have it and I go on like it lasts forever and ever. Me I go and live good today. Tomorrow me not know which number play. 1 minute to the Father me pray every day. That's why me no fret, me no worry. Me have life and feed that me not go sorry. So if the morning comes and me not see the sun, the Father can say well done. What tomorrow may bring, nobody don't know, nobody don't know. Me just a go and do me thing, me just a go and do me thing. Me a do me thing. What tomorrow may bring, nobody don't know, nobody don't know. So me a go and do me thing, me just a go and do me thing. Me a do me thing, yeah. One life me have and me a go live it how me want. Me not go make nobody come and tell me say me can't puppeteers with them strings. Want tie me up, because me fresh to the game, them want spoil me up. Yeah, I cut my hair like this, wrap my clothes like this. You can choose what you want, but I like this. Oh no, I'm not perfect, but I still try, yeah. And I'll be whatever I wanna be, cause I'm free, nobody can control me. No one on earth can predict my destiny. That's why me no worry. Me have life and feed and me not go sorry. So if the morning comes and me not see the sun, the Father can say well done. What tomorrow may bring, nobody don't know. So me a go and do me thing. Yeah, me just a go and do me thing. Yeah, what tomorrow may bring, nobody don't know, nobody don't know. So me a go and do me thing, me just a go and do me thing. Me a do me thing, yeah, take it step by step up the ladder. Hey, me not go bad mind me brother.